Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of April 18th, Sunday through Saturday to come, April 24th. Been trying to get this reading done for a couple days, but with the divine light cleanses that I've been having to do, I'm not complaining, I'm just sharing the divine light cleanses that I've been having to do this week. And recently in general, with all the Judas energy and all of that, I just didn't feel like I could, or could isn't really the word. I mean, always capable, physically capable. I didn't feel like I should do the readings under that those circumstances. Similar to last week when I was working on client readings, and I just like pushed it off because I'm like, I don't want to do anybody's reading like that, and the daily reading too. So that sort of thing has just continued for me this week. And again, this is not complaining. This is just me sharing with you. I'm thankful that people trust me with, to do their energy work and energy healing and stuff like that. But I just didn't feel right doing the reading. So while we're on that topic, normally I go over anything I want to go over separate and apart from the cards after I do the cards at the end of the reading. I used to do it for years. I did it at the 4, like in the beginning, and I don't know, one day I accidentally did it at the end. I've been doing it like that ever since. It's been about 6 months ago at least, probably longer. You lose track of time with the pandemic. But anyway, I've been doing it at the end. But there's something I said to one of my clients earlier today, who's dealing with some really, really heavy, like black magic and just nasty stuff for a long time. And again, I'm not complaining because we've come a long way. I mean, she's very thankful, but it just really upset me what she was experiencing today, or what I saw, what I felt for her. And what I had said to her was that I felt that she really needed to stick to her guns and, just be honest and, about her integrity, and not, change the story, not panic now, not freak out in her situation. And I just decided that, like, as I was getting ready to put the camera on, I said, you know what, I need to share this message, because I looked up very quickly something about Vesta, the asteroid who goes direct this week. And when I looked it up, similar words popped up about what Vesta represents. And with what we've been dealing from that perspective, it's still very much like a challenging energy that we've been dealing with. And she goes direct this week. So I just want to read this message aloud now, while I have other people's attention too, maybe. Because I don't know who all needs to hear this. But my belief is that it's more than just my one client that I was talking to earlier today. In India, by the way, all the way in India. She'll be watching this, or that family will be watching this, so they'll hear. Vesta. This is from biopscinst.com. Biopsint.com. I don't know. It's something about Vesta's retrograde zones. And it's very random. When I typed in Vesta Direct, one of the first things that popped up, I decided to click on it. And scrolling, I see at the bottom of the page, it's something P Sciences Institute in Minnesota. So I guess that's who originally posted this. But here's what it says. Vesta rules over a core sense of identity and independence, a kind of faithfulness to yourself that allows no compromise or selling out. You are focused or centered in yourself, able to tap into that great power of the self when you act out of truthfulness and integrity. So this is exactly what I told my client, like, not to deviate from the story, not to let fear sink in and just give up. She must, hold fast to her version of the events, which is the true, a true account of the events. When Vesta is in reverse, this fidelity to yourself, and Vesta has been in reverse. When Vesta is in reverse, this fidelity to yourself is tested. So that's another way of looking at, maybe through what some of us have been going and what we've been experiencing, not looking at it as Judas energy. I mean, I'm giving it a name, right? But from where is it coming? There could be different aspects, different factors that are causing us to experience this. I think this is one of them. When Vesta is in reverse, this fidelity to yourself is tested. Situations come up that force you to decide how much integrity really means to you and how much you'd rather slide through life. Now, this can also be talking to the Judases. They had a choice to decide. Do you want to slide through? Do you want to try to get over on somebody or something? Or can you keep it real? Right? And many have been failing that test. She teaches us to be beholden to nobody. You don't answer to nobody. We're not afraid of nobody. Right? Beholden to nobody. And to stand up and be responsible for ourselves. To demand the best of every experience in life. And I couldn't have said it better, so I wanted to share that. Now let's get into the dice. We are starting with stay in bed. It's 50-50 and 29. Again, spiritual partnership. Speaking of spiritual partnership, we had a lot about sex and intimacy and union and tantric union, the universe wanting us to find soulmates or to strengthen our relationship with our existing soulmate if we already had one last week. And I started to have some thoughts about that too. So I'll share those too. Spirit says, forget it. Weekend away. And party. Actually, I might let the cards tell you. So with the Rider-Waite deck, we're beginning with the Lovers. But I also shuffled the Magdalene cards, the Lovers, and with the Universal Love Oracle, Forgiveness. So, the Lovers. Behind the Lovers is the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles, often about not being happy or satisfied with your love life. And some of that is what I've been seeing. Do you guys remember, those of you who've been watching me for a while, when I talked about like the intimacy block and I said that there was like a celibacy block, like they were forcing especially masculine. I saw them being like forced to be celibate because, equipment, this wasn't working right, or situations weren't allowing them to, I say equipment wasn't working right. And I do this. I hope you guys understood what I was saying. Situations were not going their way for them to be intimate. And it's because it was an attempt to be intimate with the wrong person under the wrong circumstances, and the universe was trying to tell them no. So I saw something like that again, but the Page of Pentacles talks about being dissatisfied with one's love life as it relates to love specifically. And if you're already in a relationship, it can be about a wandering eye. The Lovers can be about a heart versus head decision. Maybe you need to decide, what it is you're doing. And again, this can apply to singles too. Being dissatisfied with your love life can be, that you are tired of being single and, just realizing, hey, maybe I need to do something, like act, take some responsibility and make some sort of changes if I, don't like to be single. And there could be something in that regard, or someone about whom you need to decide. That could be why this is showing up. The Lovers also represents the sign of Gemini, which along with the sign of Virgo are ruled by Mercury, and Mercury enters fellow earth sign Taurus this week, so that can be perhaps a factor as well. With these Lovers, behind it is intimacy. And then we have the little children in reverse. So again, the little children keeps popping up to tell us, remind us that when we were children, we had like a much more like free sort of feeling of freedom and innocence, and we were risk takers, or we weren't as afraid. And I think that it needs to be applied to these kind of situations, right? With taking risks on ourselves, or on our partner, or on our union, on a relationship, or both, on love, in a very, like with that childlike innocence and fearlessness. And that may require first seeking forgiveness, giving somebody else forgiveness, or ourselves. This could be applying this forgiveness, might need to be applied to yourself. Or you may be guided to seek forgiveness, to make an apology to somebody. And I think that if you do, then these blessings await. If you can heal the relationship, not only necessarily with somebody else, but yourself. This card, relationship, is about working on the relationship that you have with you. And then behind that, it's in reverse, but it's another Mary. And this one is sorrow. So it's like a Three of Swords, kind of like in reverse. Maybe we're beyond that, or we can be beyond that if we act now and do this. And again, like I said, with the forgiveness comes the blessings and a healed relationship. So now I'll shuffle these a little bit in front of you. And we'll see what cards pertain specifically and only, to this week. Could be something involving a water sign and or just an ex in general, or somebody from your life returning. Because I opened up and threw that Page of Pentacles. That's not what I was looking for. The Two of Cups. I threw that page. Oh, there. No, that's not what I was looking for either. But the Lovers I threw on top of the Three of Pentacles. So maybe somebody with whom you worked, or you need to decide something about a job, and there's a heart versus head decision involved with the job. But I was trying to say I threw the Page of Pentacles right on top of the Knight of Cups. Yeah. All right. Eight of Wands can be about a message. If it's not about a message or communication, it can also be about things that had felt like they weren't moving, like maybe they were stuck. Now they are moving. With the Emperor, could involve some sort of authority, or us taking charge of a situation. Again, acting. There's more Mercury, more Gemini with the Magician, our ability to manifest whatever it is we want in our lives or need. Three of Cups, celebration. I'll do one more. And on that note, it's the Page of Pentacles again. So I think that's the perfect card on which to end. And it is Temperance, which represents the sign of Sagittarius in the tarot. The planet Jupiter. For me, also Aquarius, because I view this as a water bearer, this angel here on the card. So Temperance in reverse is our overall energy. We're going to pull our additional 6 cards. First one, most directly representing us over the week, it is the Fool in reverse. Where this card relates to love, I'll just get it out now. Fool in reverse can be about your freedom, or your desire to be free, or to experience that sort of feeling of being free and freedom could be getting in the way of your love life. So it probably is tying into what I just started the conversation about a moment ago. Not being dissatisfied with your love life, whether you're single or in a relationship, is very possible this week. And it could be because of there's a need for freedom, a desire for freedom that's somehow getting in the way. Surrounding energy, close friends, family members, co-workers. Knight of Pentacles. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Someone likened to those traits or attributes if it's an actual representative of an actual person in your life. Work and finance. Ooh. Something's going on there with love and relationship. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So far, out of 4 cards, 3 are major arcana. Physical health. 8 of Wands is back. It's in reverse. And spiritual health. The King of Wands in reverse as well. The King of Wands, like Temperance, most directly represents the sign of Sagittarius. Of course, the King of Wands, if it's a person in your life, can also be an Aries or a Leo as well. This is not the love reading, but I feel myself going on and on about relationships, and our overall energy actually can be about relationships, very much so, all kinds. So friendships, familial, romantic, work situations, partnerships, all of that. And then when we see it in reverse, it's encouraging us to it can be about balance too. What's the word I'm trying to think of? I don't know the kind of word I was trying to, the word I was trying to think of, but let me say it this way: it encourages us to nurture, and like feed, nourish those relationships if we want to save and or salvage them. In love specifically, it can be about us feeling like out of balance and in need of nourishing, or like we've been maybe solely the one nourishing a relationship. It can be about like a lack of reciprocity. Like I've been giving, 3,000% to this relationship, and you've only been giving, 50. I don't know, whatever. And the other person can feel the opposite. They may feel like you're the one that hasn't been giving the right amount to the relationship. Also, even when we're feeling like our relationships are going well in a general sense, when this card shows up, it's like likely that we're receiving and maybe ignoring, if it's not from another person, like on this plane, very direct, like constructive criticism about something that could really be helpful to us, then it could be in a spiritual sense, maybe intuitively receiving messages about, and guidance about our relationships, and maybe some truth and honesty and integrity about our relationships that we're not paying attention to, that we're, again, maybe even ignoring. But if we were to look a little deeper at, personal issues and see like how and where and what is standing in our way, then the idea is that we can be sort of like enlightened to what it will take in order for us to find balance in ourselves and our relationships, and to therefore be able to like accomplish our goals, and achieve aspirations, dreams. So like in work, for example, right now, especially with the tower there, this is not the week to be like the lone wolf at work. This is not the week to like pull a Jerry Maguire or whatever, as much as I love that movie. This is not the week for that. If there is any opportunity to be in partnership or like a united front, and maybe even to physically help other people, if there is a fire or something at the job, then that's what we're guided to do this week. It could be something about unionizing too, joining forces with other people. But we'll get back to the tower in a second. Let me move on to the card that most directly represents us this week, which is the Fool in reverse. So in a general sense, this is very much like the little children card too. This can be an indication of newness, so new things happening in our lives, fresh starts, and also about like purity and innocence, and again that fearlessness, that sort of open-hearted, I'm open to whatever energy of a child, a very childlike perspective, and it's considered a very positive card, at least in the general sense. But that it also comes with like a warning that it's important to take time to be sure that we are sort of like look before you leap. So apply it, I guess, in terms of nourishing relationships and or balance as well. In a general sense, it's an indication of new beginnings that have some sort of deeper spiritual meaning also. And the reversal can mean that the person, who's looking into it, or who for whom the reading is, so in this case all of us, um, has some sort of pushback, a level of resistance to the new beginning. And in that context, it can mean that the fresh start, um, is coming whether we want it or not, or whether we like it to or not. And we have to sort of find a way to, God, I can't, why am I getting a lot like lost for words? I don't want to say balance again, but that may be the best thing I can come up with. Finding like a way to adapt, to meet somewhere in the middle, where the energy is going to be healthy. So um, let me think about this. Well, like maybe giving an example is easier. Um, so you might be thinking about like dropping like a belief system, an ideology, a religion, a spiritual tradition, or something that you have held, right? That's been part of your life um, for a while. This thing, and so it's like it's coming that you are guided to let go of it, but at the same time, there's pushback from you because you've had it for so long. Um, I don't think that came out clear enough. All right, think about maybe like in a divorce situation, a really horrible marriage. Um, yeah, just whether it's emotionally abusive. Let's go with emotionally abusive. I don't want to think about people hurting other people in a physical way or whatever. So it's emotionally abusive. It's horrible. Nobody deserves to even have to experience that. But it's still not the easiest thing to leave a marriage. So your divorce is coming, right? You got to go to court next week. The person's going to finalize the divorce. That still doesn't make it easy. And so that can be the kind of relationship the kind of relationship, but also the kind of energy that the Fool in reverse can be representative of. Something new is coming, like your singlehood. Your divorce is coming, so that's going to put you in a new situation. And it's coming at this point, whether we, wanted to or not, whether we fall back into fear or not, it is going to happen. We want it to happen, but at the same time, there is a level of resistance to it because, oh my God, I'm going to be single after, 20 years or however long. I hope that makes sense now. As I already mentioned, in terms of love, it can be about your desire for freedom and independence and everything getting in the way of your love life, whether that means your relationship, if you have one that's existing, or your singlehood, and maybe desire to change that. You want a relationship, but at the same time you want to be free. You know, so you got to find that middle ground. You got to find that balance in between the two of those. And now I think it finally makes sense. And I'm sorry it took so long, that I was like stuck for so long. All right, so anyway, moving on to the Knight of Pentacles and our surrounding energy. This card often comes with a message with regard to money and or finances, work and things like that, and can be about like finally, because he represents an energy that's been coming toward us over a period of time, like slow and steady, but and we've had to be patient. It's been taking a while. Like, when is this information or this new fresh energy coming? taking its time. So now it can be like it's finally, we're finally receiving like good news that we've been waiting on, or news in general with regard to our finances and or work. And this news is likely to be good. The Knight is a very positive card, very practical card, represents earth energy, which is also very practical, very grounded, very reliable, very dependable, and very ethical in terms of work. And it's not the kind of like, hey, you won the lottery. It's not that kind of money news usually. I mean, it can be. It's probably going to be something more connected to your work and your finance, maybe that you've been waiting for. And again, probably positive news, even though we have the tower in the position of work and finance. It could be a good tower. It can be like news that knocks you off your feet. You know, if you've been waiting for it for a while, like, I'm waiting to go back to work. When is my company going to reopen? You know, when am I going to be able to group back together to join forces with my coworkers from the same place and do our work and from the same place instead of each of us being at home? Oh, this week we got the notice. Yes, I'm floored by that news. That can be what the tower, like we see the tower and we panic and we think it's something scary and something bad, but it isn't always. As a matter of fact, a lot of the time it's not. The Knight of Pentacles also guides us to pay attention to like just the regular, normal, everyday aspects that maybe we even consider like a little mundane things in our lives. You know, the little things. Take care of the little things, and the larger things will fall into place. You ever heard that saying? So it can be something like that. Knight of Pentacles, sort of asking us to look at how we are handling our affairs, or maybe if we're handling our affairs, like maybe we're letting something fall by the wayside, or maybe we're only focusing on our affairs and not nurturing our relationships, and we need to find balance in between the two of those. Right? So you can see how you determine for yourself how it resonates with you, if at all, how it applies to you. With the love, first and foremost, it can mean involvement with an earth sign, of course, or somebody with earth sign traits or qualities, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone like into those traits or attributes. And it points to responsibility too, and like duty in terms of a relationship, your integrity, right? Again, in terms of your relationship. Are you willing to work together? Right? Willing to work, put in effort together. You willing to handle your parts of the responsibilities. Remember, you put in 100%, I put in 100%. Not me feeling like I put in more than you, or you feeling like you put in more than me. Reciprocity. Are you meeting the responsibilities and duties? You said you were going to be home by 7 and we were going to eat dinner together today. You weren't going to be at work again. You know, it's all that kind of thing. If you're single and looking for love, when you pull this card, then you need to like switch up your routine too. And again, maybe it's the need for freedom and stuff that's getting in the way. You're hanging out at places maybe where you won't meet somebody, like where you're just doing your own thing, where it's a solo thing, and you need to be in places where other people are grouping together so you can have an opportunity to meet somebody or something like that. The usual places that you would normally hang out, we want to maybe this week's again avoid and go someplace new, and you know very possibly meet somebody or a few somebodies maybe. You know. All right, so moving on to the tower, work and finance. It can be about arguments and guides us to keep our like tempers under control. Temperance is our overall energy. Temper yourself, and watch your temper, because like things can just pop up. You know, this can be sort of like sudden, something all of a sudden something is going left. Don't take things that other people say and do, too much to heart, like unnecessarily. I'm not saying like let everything slide and be a punk. That's not what I'm saying. But like it's not that serious all the time. Not everything is that deep, and you don't have to take this guy. I know this guy, a friend of mine, not friend. We use the word friend too loosely, myself included. An associate of mine, affiliate of mine. He takes everything so goddamn personal. And I find myself always having to like reinitiate, because I'm not going to agree with you all the time. Even if we get along, we're part of a team and whatever, and we often have the same opinions or similar opinions. We're not going to agree every time, and you're not going to stop me from standing up for what I believe in because you don't believe in this thing, that particular thing. And I'm not going to stop speaking to you because you don't believe in that particular thing. We can still speak after. I'm going to say what I have to say about this. And then we can still go on about our business and hang out and kiki or whatever about that we do agree on. But him, I have to like sort of massage his ego in the relationship or whatever, and reignite it every single time because he takes everything so damn personal. Probably a male Cancer. I have to ask what his sign is because I can't deal sometimes. But anyway, not everything is that serious. Not everything is about you. Not everything is personal. So that's what it guides us to really watch out for that. And if we think that we have a really stable job and everything's going to be fine in ours and we get along with everybody and we don't argue, even in those kind of situations with the tower coming up like this, something could happen at the job. So like I said fire before, there's fire in the card. I don't, that's not something I always say or typically say. So it can happen. I mean, things, and when I say can happen, I mean like once it's out of my mouth like that, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody contacted me as early as Monday morning and said, "Queen, my office just got on fire. We just had to run out. It was a bomb threat or whatever." Because that's how quick these things tend to manifest when they fall out of my mouth. Um, so even though you have a stable job and you're like, "Well, nothing's gonna go wrong at my job," it can be something like that that's beyond our control. And the fact that it's um, major arcana, which for me represents karmic energy, those energies that are beyond our control, it could definitely be something that's happening. Okay. I'm not obviously not fire for everybody that sees this or that has some sort of problem, but I'm saying like even those places and those jobs that are secure and stable, this card is about sudden, all of a sudden something happened. Okay. With specific regard to finances, separate and apart from work, maybe it's not a good time, like for risky investments or like gambling or whatever, or depending upon something like the lottery again, lack of another word. I don't know why I keep having these mental blocks today. Um, to pay your bills. It's not likely that okay, I gotta pay my rent. All right, let me go buy a scratch off. That's not the way to handle your finances, obviously. So, and particularly this week, that's not the way to do it. Moving on to Wheel of Fortune in reverse for love and relationship. I hate to recycle an explanation, but the one that I gave about the marriage is pretty good. I mean, this can be an indication of a long term relationship. You coming to the conclusion that maybe that it's time for that relationship to end. Like maybe me and this person don't vibe anymore. We don't align anymore. We don't see eye to eye anymore. I was thinking about this with me and my ex husband the other day. Um, because we get along well, and that doesn't mean that our marriage was perfect or you know awesome all the time or whatever. Obviously it wasn't because we got divorced. I sought a divorce from him, but I was thinking about how well we do get along the other day, and but that's like how that's not enough. I wasn't thinking about it in terms of oh I'm interested in him. I was just like really having the understanding, the clarity of like that sort of thing not being enough for a relationship. Like I never want to get back together with him, but we get along well. I'm able to spend time with him and around him. You know, we're able to still do family stuff, so to speak. He if he shows up for something for his kids, I'm unaffected. I'm unbothered by it. We totally get along, but I would never want to. like remarry him again. If I did, it would be the third time we got married. Because the first time we got married, we had this huge wedding, and it wasn't even legal. Like my cousin was my maid of honor. Her and his uncle was the best man. They signed in the wrong place. My uncle was the minister. He was supposed to register with the state of New York. He was from South Carolina. He didn't register. So I'm waiting for my marriage certificate, and I call finally the state to say, like, where's my marriage certificate? And they're like, you're not married. And we got married. We had to get married again. And we got married at City Hall with like this Elvis impersonator guy that was married 6 times prior. He was marrying this woman who was getting married for the first time. So it was like her first marriage, but his like 6th or 7th marriage. And they were our witnesses. We were their witnesses. It was crazy. Anyway, I don't know why I went into all of that, but I was just thinking about he and I the other day. And well, I was thinking about the scenario more so than I was actually thinking about he and I. He and I just happened to be the people that were involved in the example that I was considering, but it really had nothing to do with us as a couple. I was thinking about the fact that getting along and maybe even love, especially if it's not romantic love, if it's just love, like, in terms of familial love, which would be like the kind of love I have for him. Um, it is not enough, or at least for me, to make me want to like commit my life. I think we take for granted how valuable life is, how long, I say this like every week, I feel like how long and how short life is. So if you live to be 100, that's too long to be miserable. But if you live to be 100, you were here for a blink, in the scheme of things, in comparison to how the age of the world, of the planet and stuff. 100 years is nothing compared to hundreds of millions of years. It's like you were here for a minute. So we got to try to do it as right as possible. And then I was looking at it in terms of work too, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and my friend who lost both of his parents. So I just happened to bump into him. It's so difficult. I mean, it's obviously it's harder for them. They lost their parents, but it's so difficult. Like, what do you even say? So he lost his father. That was like a couple of years ago. But he lost his mother during this pandemic. She had lung cancer, 9/11. We lived downtown. Um, but she was doing as well as could be expected with the lung cancer, but she got COVID, and she had actually even beat the COVID and recovered and was home. But then, like weeks later, and this is why people got to stop taking COVID as such a joke. Weeks later, because she had the COVID, now her lungs, were weakened. Like, people are ending up with like deformities and things, their organs and stuff remain affected permanently after the COVID. So whatever was going on with her, she ended up catching, it wasn't regular pneumonia. It was like this specific kind of pneumonia. And it was because of the fact that she'd had the COVID, and that's what killed her ultimately. But we were talking, and I just said to him, like, I cannot believe, I refuse to believe, I don't believe that, like, we're born and, to be raised to be teenagers so we could go out and go to school and work, like work in college, and then work, and then drop dead. Like, there has to be, we're missing the point here, I think. Like, there has to be something huge that we're missing. And more, I think that the universe is trying to get us to notice this about, that, in the general sense, in terms of our day-to-day lives and our work and all of that. And in terms of our relationships, stop being in these relationships in which you're not happy. Stop staying single if you're not happy. All of that. And change whatever it is you need to change so you can get happy. Now, I went way off on a tangent. So getting back to this, at a minimum, what this card guides us to do is to really like self-evaluate how our love life is going, how we're feeling about our relationships, if we're interested in maintaining them, if we really are ready to let them go. And then I think either way, some sort of communication is key, right? You got to let people know yes, I want to salvage the relationship, or no, we're done here. Either way, you need to say something. Definitely not that ghosting stuff is so immature. Um, and I've heard all kinds of explanations for it or why it should be justifiable. It's bullshit. It's immature. It is selfish. It is fearful, and induced. It's definitely fear driven, because somebody who is firm and standing in their integrity and not in fear, is fearless, is facing their situations and saying, yeah, we're done here. I no longer want to be in this relationship. You can actually voice those words and make it clear, rather than what the ghosting does is leave two open doors, unanswered questions, no closure. So maybe we can revisit later, and we can have one foot in and one foot out. And what the universe is trying to tell us these days is no more of that. No more of that. And I guess because this week with Vesta going direct, maybe even more so, that message will be driven home. And that's a really awesome segue to the Eight of Wands in reverse, because the Eight of Wands in reverse, when it comes to physical health, says to us that calmness and sort of clear headedness, fearlessness, patience, perhaps, all these things are necessary for our health this week and in issues of our health. We will not help ourselves or our health status by being fearful, anxious, worrisome. We need to send our body positive, loving messages. Eight of Wands can be my messages. And healing energy. Temperance is a very healing energy. And this is regardless of what physical health problems we may be aware that we have, or that we may potentially have, or that whatever potential problems there might be. Don't fear the worst is a clear message with this card. And don't sort of wallow and like this self-pity and self um sabotage and suffering over health problems that we don't even know we have, or that may not even happen. What's that word when you hyper, what's the word, hypochondriac. Hypochondriac. Don't be a hypochondriac. There's my clear message to you. And that brings us to the King of Wands in reverse. Last but not least, our spiritual health. It may actually involve a fire sign, or someone fire sign like, and maybe, again, most directly, a Sagittarius, possibly an Aries or a Leo as well. And this card shows up to say, like, we're already like well on our way in terms of our spirituality and our spiritual growth. And there are many different ways to experience it. We're put here, on this abundant planet with other people. Maybe, again, getting involved in groups or surrounding yourself with other people, soul family, other spiritual peoples, people with whom you align. We're put among these other people for a reason. So it can be just to experience, joy, and to have different positive spiritual experiences with each other. That, is at least one of the reasons why we're put here with these other people. And so this card is very simple and simply saying to us, enjoy it, right? Enjoy the spiritual growth, enjoy experiences, and they'll happen sort of organically and naturally, just as part of your being and existing in the world this week. Now, in addition to that, I didn't share these other, I didn't shuffle these other decks, but I did share them with you. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use them, but I'll go ahead and use them. I can do this quickly. So we'll pull a card from the Universal Love Oracle to join our Fool in Reverse, which is the card most directly representing us this week. And this is Golden Memories. So if there's a need for freedom or whatever, and there's something that's holding us back, it could be tied to a previous experience, maybe a previous relationship. Doesn't have to be romantic, some sort of situation. We're guided to take the positive memories and the learning experiences from that situation, and to leave whatever we feel is trying to hold us back and cause us to not feel free and independent and like we can make our own decisions and stand up for ourselves. Leave that behind. If there's some sort of situation that is preventing us from maybe not being so independent, but finding the balance there, and instead maybe being a little bit more interdependent, and so that we can have a healthy and positive relationship with other people, then we need to leave that behind, and only take, again, the positive lessons and golden memories forward with us. So our surrounding energy from this deck, Universal Love Oracle, joining the Knight of Pentacles, is creativity. And so this can be about putting, again, effort, work, maybe in creative ways, coming up with creative ways of expressing ourselves, that will help us to bring about something in our work. Again, that could be leading to that, helping to lead to that good news. Where you put the effort is from where you get the outcome, sort of thing. And she's got this like bowl of something in her hand, but it looks like gold pieces, right? It looks like maybe more pentacles. So it can also be about our work just paying off here. The fish is also a sign of abundance for me, right? Like when you think about like the scriptures and all the fish that Jesus is said to have pulled out of the water. So I think this is about, again, work paying off, maybe not only for us directly, but surrounding. So this could be family members, other people that we know close to us could be getting some sort of news that they've been waiting on as well. Maybe hearing about a job, or you find out if your unemployment went through, or if you've been approved for something or whatever. But it's in response to some sort of work that you did already, or the creative or unique way that you like completed an application or wrote up some sort of proposal or something like that just came to me. So specific to work and finance, I just talked a lot about work and finance, but that was because of the Knight of Pentacles, what we were getting from him. But now moving on to the Tower and work and finance, joining that is listening. Definitely getting something about, for those where it is tied to potential argument and debate, a way of avoiding unnecessary argument and debate is to actually listen and to hear one another and to hear each other out, before we respond to something. Listen, hear out. Okay, that's your perspective. Now I'm going to speak, and then we can have an actual conversation instead of just an argument. For love and relationship, we have the universal heart. And this card says that everybody is put here for a reason. We need each and every person. That's what these dots on the universal heart card are said to mean. Like each one of these dots is necessary to make up the larger picture and body. And that may have been true or may be true about our relationships too, and maybe how we found ourselves joined with another and for a long time. But that doesn't mean that, again, we have to remain together. We're still necessary as part of the whole. Each one of us is necessary, and we may have already served our purpose together, and now it could be time to move on. Maybe what this card is telling us. If we are single, is getting something else. If we're single, this is about, and I don't think I mentioned it, the Wheel of Fortune card kind of is about this too. Sort of deciding, thinking, putting some time into an effort into thinking about what it is we want, what kind of person we want, what kind, or we're not, yeah, what kind of relationship, I guess, we want. What would be a reciprocal relationship for us? What with whom, what type of person might we be equally yoked? That's one of the words I thought about with regard to my ex-husband and myself. I'm like, we weren't equally yoked, like, anyway. But with whom might we be? And then making sure we're putting ourselves in places and situations where we can meet that type of person. And it may involve our spirituality. Both of these cards represent the sign of Sagittarius. So does Temperance. So there's a lot of Jupiter here, a lot of Sagittarius energy here, and it could be about putting ourselves in not just in the right place, but tied to our spirituality somehow. You might meet somebody who's into similar practices, or the metaphysical, or yeah, that's the best. That's the most I can get. That's the best I'm getting uh, right now. Sorry. Physical health, eternal flame. I feel a love message coming through with this, and this is not what I want to talk to you about because this is physical health. But oh, you know what? It could be about self love though, because as I said already, with the Eight of Wands, with regard to health, it is about sending your body and yourself like positive, healthy messages about you. And that's how you can help yourself in terms of your health this week. And certainly by avoiding sending in any negative messages or anything driven by fear or anxiety or worry. And that last but not least, spiritual health is expectancy. And we got all these different like religious or spiritual symbols here. And that's what I was trying to express with the King of Wands with regard to spirituality. Like there could be a lot of different things that you feel like you want to try out, or there are a lot of different things that you have felt maybe recently you've wanted to try out because you're tired of something that you've been previously doing, or maybe just lack thereof. You haven't been very spiritual and you've just been moved lately. You feel yourself guided to get deeper and deeper into it. It's going to just, you don't have to have any kind of expectancy or like plan, like let me schedule in spirituality. If you can let that go and allow it to happen organically, as the Knight of Wands also said. Now, from the other deck, the Magdalene deck, joining the Fool, we have Perception. And this card is about someone, there being someone or something, someone needs you right now to like forgive them. They need your support or something. And that may be what's in your way in terms of your independence and or freedom. Again, it could be from an old relationship, something that you're holding on to, blocking you from relationship. What was that? Did you see that? The light just went off by itself. Uh, talk about my perception, right? In my vision there. The light just turned off. All right, so moving on to the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Messenger. And just as I said, he would be like getting some sort of news, some sort of message that is likely to be good about your finances or work or money or something. Or it could be about somebody close to you, something in your surrounding situations. Maybe not about money, but most likely this is money, again, work, finances, and or something involving an earth sign, perhaps. Work and finance joining the tower. Look at this card. Doesn't it look kind of like another tower or like another explosion or fire? Is it me? Is it just me? I mean, they're not the same color or anything, but they're very much the same. And speaking of the prophet, last week I said, "Oh, Ramadan starts on the 22nd." You see, this is the thing when you don't look up stuff, when you don't when you don't write anything down. So I have a Arabic calendar. It covers 3 years like at once, and I think I just glanced at the wrong year. But when I said out loud that Ramadan was going to begin April 22nd, nothing clicked in my head like, wait, no, April 22nd, is it really? Because that's one of the days that the prophet is said to have been born. So it didn't click, and I left it at that. Ramadan started last week on the 12th, and I actually, celebrated it and announced it on my page. I have another page that is specifically about Ramadan, to help other people to keep to their fasts and their prayers and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, how did I get that wrong? So anyway, I apologize, but I still haven't learned my lesson. I'm still not writing things down. But I say all that to say, reading this, the prophet, one of the days that is said to be believed to be the prophet's birthday by many is April 22nd. So that falls into this week also. But I think the message for us here is larger. I'm debating whether I should read it or just tell you my thoughts or both. I feel like this is running really long already, so I'm going to go with I'll just tell you. So it's basically about divine timing, and it could very well be tied to this Knight of Pentacles. Remember, I said I used the word finally. Finally, we're getting this news. So it can be like that, like finally. Everybody, it's reminding you or saying to you everything happens like when it's supposed to. Or everything is happening, or has happened when it's supposed to, how it's supposed to, and so don't worry. It's all in divine order, even whatever is happening at your job. And again, even though it looks like this in this card with the Rider-Waite deck, very possibly positive news or happenings are what is going on with the job. Love and relationship. We have liberation. Liberation is about freedom, right? Remember I said something, your desire for freedom and independence somehow, some way getting in the way of your love life. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's up to you to decide what that means for you. The physical health, joining the Eight of Wands, we have the resurrection. So resurrection is about a comeback, right? And being restored back to your full health through the light. I am the light and the way. Through positivity and, again, healthy messages and love, right? Jesus is love. He was one. Jesus is love. God is love. So through the love, self-love will be how you are, your health is restored or or maintained or kept at least at its best. And last but not least, for very nice, for spirituality, we have the real you. So the real you, very organically and naturally, is coming to bear. Is coming to the forefront. You will be the spiritual being you are meant to be. You don't have to force anything. It is happening on its own, in divine timing, in the right way. You will be surrounding yourself with the right people who have the right vibe, and you will experience the right lessons that will lead to the growth and everything that you were meant to have, to be the realest and bestest you that you can be. Now, like I said, this reading is long, but for those of you who'd like to stick around, I'm going to go over what else is happening this week aside from these cards and what I've been talking to you thus far. I don't know how I talked so long already. Let's see. The Christian calendar, don't worry about it. Nothing happening that we're going to talk about. Hebrew calendar, they continue to count the Omer. For religious people, Christian and Jewish or Hebrew, like the Easter season, basically, or I guess for Jews, like the Exodus season, is not over until like Pentecost. For Christians, it's Pentecost Sunday. For Jews, it's the 49 days of the Omer. It's the same 49 days, though. Just means different things for based on what religion you are, but it's the same 49 days. So there's there that continues. Um, Islam, Muslim, as we talked about, Ramadan started last week or this week on the 12th. So we will move right into um, the planetary calendar, where there are a bunch of things going on. So starting with the second day, for which this reading is April 19th at 6:29 a.m., we have Mercury, ruler of the signs of Gemini and Virgo, entering Taurus, which I mentioned before, 0 degrees Taurus. Also April 19th at 4:33 p.m., the sun enters Taurus, 0 degrees Taurus. April 20th at 2:59 a.m., the first quarter moon, 0 degrees Leo. Also April 20th at 3:08 a.m., Vesta goes direct. Vesta, the asteroid, which is currently in retrograde in the sign of Virgo, goes direct, 6 degrees Virgo. And last but not least, April 23rd at 7:49 a.m., Mars enters Cancer. So to learn a little bit more about these, I have gone to www.tarot.com, and we'll start with Mercury in Taurus. Persistent, practical, purposeful. Mercury finds a sturdy environment in the earth sign Taurus. Mercury is the planet that rules the mind, influencing the way we think and communicate. Taurus is a very practical and determined sign that, when energized by Mercury, can help to turn our loose ideas into real plans. Concrete values and practical perspectives are likely to take on a greater sense of significance for all of us during this transit. Imagination and wishful thinking take a back seat while Mercury moves through Taurus. Instead of wandering conversations and fresh thoughts, we are given the gift of stability. We're about to take our time and to plan our path and to create strong foundations that can benefit our future. When Mercury's in Taurus, Mercury's transit through this practical sign is a time when common sense rules. Taurus is a sign that is very connected to the material world, so there's an extra emphasis on what's real during Mercury in Taurus. This isn't a time for flights of fancy. It's about focusing on the things that are going to bring us the most tangible results. Instead of coming, like I was saying, like our work, our efforts, our actual effort is what's going to result in work. And what's going to result in results. Instead of coming up with creative new ways of thinking and doing things, we should stick to what we know works now. Mercury generally excels in flexibility, but Taurus is arguably the least flexible of all of the zodiac signs. So while Mercury travels through Taurus, we may find ourselves digging in and taking rigid positions when opposed by different ideas, concepts, or facts. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Watch out for that. Don't try to avoid that. It's imperative that we don't lose our ability to stay open-minded. Okay, if I just wait, they'll say it. So we can overcome this stubborn resistance to whatever is new or different. So we talked about a resistance to something that is new, right, with the Fool. And then, very interestingly enough, we have this Taurian energy sitting right here next to the Fool. So I think this here is talking to us about Mercury and Taurus. Taurus is a very focused sign that doesn't get sidetracked easily. During this transit, we have a heightened ability to solidify plans, garner support. Remember, surrounding ourselves with other groups of people, and to make major forward progress. Our interactions with others are calm. I think I used that exact word. Didn't I say we need to be calm and patient? Interactions with others are calm and purposeful, keeping drama and distraction to a minimum. Exactly. Especially at work. Watch out for that. so that we can keep our eyes on our most important goals instead. Amen. And then it goes on to talk about what it means for Mercury to be retrograde in Taurus. If you want to read about that, again, I got it from www.tarot.com. But I'm going to move on to Mars in Cancer, nurturing, protective, emotional. Assertive Mars has an uphill battle ahead of him when he moves into the sensitive sign of Cancer. This warrior planet prefers to charge ahead, acting on instincts rather than weighing the consequences of its actions. Cancer is a water sign concerned with emotional security and protection, not exactly a natural fit for aggressive Martian energy. So, when impulsive Mars moves into the sign of Cancer, she douses his fiery flame, forcing him to slow down and to move more carefully. Mars is the warrior planet. He's assertive and action oriented, helping rev us up so that we can get from point A to point B. It may seem like we're all doomed to stand still when Mars begins its tour through the sign of Cancer, but don't be fooled, because this transit still packs quite the punch. Mars in Cancer still has fight in it. It simply chooses to fight with deep sensitivity for what it's most emotionally connected to. Mars's trek through Cancer gives us the opportunity to blend the fiery planet's initiative with Cancerian concern for preservation. We'll want to spend this time carefully building things that honor and acknowledge our connection to the past and to family values. Our urge to move forward during this time doesn't cut us off from familiar patterns, but includes them to make for a more gentle and comfortable step into the future. It's true that Mars is toned down when it moves through sensitive Cancer, but that doesn't mean that we won't get anything done. If we learn how to work with Mars and Cancer energy, a great deal can be accomplished. Digging into domestic tasks is one of the best ways to use this transit. Mars and Cancer is a great opportunity to get your hammer and nails out so that you can start or finish a home improvement project. Okay. You may also feel a greater need to fight for the rights of a family member or a domestic situation during this time. Even though Mars in Cancer prefers using its energy to nurture, it will ultimately do whatever it takes to defend what and whom it cares about. As a result, you may notice that an intensely protective instinct takes over your actions when Mars and Cancer sync up. The problem with Mars's transit through cautious Cancer is that rather than taking a direct approach to going after what we want, we take a more passive one. If we don't feel emotionally connected to something, it's unlikely we will take action. Unfortunately, the action that we do take is usually ruled by the heart and may be more reactive and oversensitive than purposeful. It goes on to talk about what it means if you were born with Mars in Cancer in your chart. I already mentioned what Vesta was about, and we could talk about Muhammad for a second. So, Muhammad is said to have been born in the year 570. And again, this is one of the days, or not today, but April 22nd is one of the days on which he's said to be born. It makes a lot of sense to me. Again, ruled by Mars. It's very, divine masculine, very father. Mars is the masculine planet of love. But the other time that he's said to have been born, right, November, he's going to be a Scorpio, also in part ruled by Mars. So I find it interesting that those are the two times of year and two potential zodiac signs that he would have. Also, he's all about the sevens, right? So 7 equals God. But if you look at June 8th, equals 14, right? So 14 is one of this is the date of his death, by the way. 14 is one of the numbers that also represents father, and particularly Osiris. Remember, he was chopped up into 14 pieces, with his penis or phallus being the 14th piece. Otherwise, there were 13 pieces of him. Anyway, 14 equals 5. And so that's the date of Muhammad's death, or what's said to have been in the year 632. 632 equals 11. 5 plus, which is 2. 5 plus 2 equals 7. So you have that. He has a bunch of other sevens. Oh, he is said to have been given the words of the Quran in on 610. Well, the story I learned is 610, 610, and I've been saying this for a long time. Let's see if it says anything about him here, because I'm just on like a Muhammad. I just Google Muhammad, so like a whole bunch of different links and things. Oops, I just closed my Google. All right, yeah. So a whole bunch of things just popped up, and I didn't click into anything. Um, but 610 is 7. 610, 610 is 7, 7. So again, God. What else would I say about him? I guess that's it. He was a religious leader, obviously. Again, said to have been the prophet that received the words of the Quran, similar to how Moses received the commandments, and how what's the Mormon one? Brigham Young said to have received, the words of the Book of Mormon. Same type of thing, same story. And who's to say that, any one of them didn't? Maybe they all did receive some sort of words. I believe there's only one God. That's my belief. Um, my how do you say, educated, educated belief or guess, based on things that I've seen. There's one, and we worship or not in different ways. Um, so that's Muhammad. Some people may be acknowledging that he was born this week. Some may not, because the actual Muslim or Islamic feast day for it again tends to be November, October, celebrating or acknowledging the birth of the prophet. This year, actually, it will be celebrated or recognized on October 19th, Tuesday, October 19th. So that means on Monday night, that night after sundown, it will begin. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for that. And I have integrity here. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's been a long reading. I hope you have enjoyed it. And I will be back soon for the love reading. Namaste.